Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host MAQBOOL with you at PTV World. In today's show, we're going to be talking about the very important and much debated talk about that is going on regarding the constitutional package that the government, along with other political parties, are trying to present and pass with reference to the Parliament and the Federal Cabinet. And we're going to be seeing what exactly is the scenario right now in terms of consensus on this matter. As of yesterday, we saw that different political parties, including the PMLN, PPP and JUIF, said that they were on the same page with regards to this constitutional package and that it will be presented in the Parliament today. However, with developments coming in from today, we see that there are conflicting reports coming in from different sides. There seems to be an almost consensus done with regards to the constitutional package, but whether or not there is full consensus and whether or not there is the magic number of passing it in the Parliament still remains to be seen. We saw that the parliamentary committee's meeting was held today with the participation of all major political parties, and this was just of course put forward there, and it seemed that consensus on the matter had been reached. But we also saw a simultaneous news conference and a meeting being carried out between PTI and JUIF, which said otherwise and said that there is still discussions and deliberations continuing on the matter, but that the draft is much more or less the same. But the final deliberation with the PTI founder who's sitting in a Diyala jail is still something that remains. So whether or not there will actually be consensus on this matter and what are the aspects that different political parties are actually mulling over, of course, remains to be seen, and we'll be discussing that in our show today, and to understand whether or not the government is moving forward with the prospects of getting the number to pass this. Then there is, of course, also the concern of the package itself, the kind of amendments it proposes and the effect and impact it has on the judiciary and the roles of both the judiciary and the Parliament, and of course the powers both with the Chief Justice of Pakistan and with government representatives, or those who get to decide who sits on the constitutional bench. So we're going to be taking a look at all of that in our first segment of the show today. Our next one is going to have a focus on the ongoing genocide in Gaza, and we saw in a latest development video released by Israel claiming that they have attacked and killed Yahya Sinwar, who has been one of the key targets and a key leader of Hamas since 7th of October. And this is something that has been released via video footage as well, which shows him one-armed throwing a stick at a drone. We're going to be taking a look at what exactly, of course, this particular attack would mean and how it is being taken up by different members of the international community and what people all around the world are talking about, and also with reference to the way that it affects any discussions or any possible move towards a ceasefire or dialogue and an end to the ongoing genocide in Gaza and then the spillover conflict in the Middle East with Iran and Lebanon involved. So that's going to be our focus in the second segment of the show today. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst FARRUKH and Raja FAISAL, and we've also been joined for our first segment by Barrister SHABBIR SHAH. Thank you very much for joining us and being a part of the debate. And it's been a while. We welcome you to the debate today. We're going to be, of course, taking a look at what this constitutional package is about and what it means, and particularly in terms of what exactly will be the discussions forward and how it will impact both the judiciary and the Parliament. And Faisal, I'll take your views first in terms of what we've discussed just yesterday also, and in the ways that different political parties have shown up. Yesterday, of course, there were different news coming in, and today we have different developments, and you also talked about the role of JUIF, and I want your take on whether or not, given the kind of reports that are coming in of an almost consensus being achieved, that what is the future of this particular package? Do you think that all parties are indeed on the same page, and that whatever PTI remains to discuss will also be sorted out?
Yes, and obviously when we talk about amendments and we talk about the PTI and JUI's meeting of this evening's, there is one thing that's for clear, and that is that JUIF, especially Maulana Fazlur Rahman, what he wants is he wants to have PTI on board as well, along with the other parties, political parties, and the ruling parties as well. So to me, I think it is important to note that JUIF has been playing a very positive role, so that when it comes to amendments, I mean, there should be consensus on the amendments. And when we, of course, talk about these amendments, constitutional amendments, regarding these constitutional amendments, they are not only important for constitutional matters at Constitution Avenue, but overall throughout Pakistan, I mean, it is going to have a good positive effect on people at large. We know that I mean, pending cases in the Supreme Court, they are in thousands, and nobody, I mean, knows when they are going to be dealt with. I think to rapidify that aspect of the Supreme Court, it is important to do that, so that we can have constitutional matters. For the constitutional matters, we can have a separate side where all of these matters can be dealt with. And when, of course, we talk about either they are successful so far to have opposition and the treasury benches on the same page. So far, JUIF, they have been of course trying their level best to have the middle ground, so that eventually, I mean,
what's
all
the
of
middle ground?
Middle ground, of course, it is that when we talk about the amendments as they were being proposed by the treasury benches, the amendments, they have certain differences. The opposition has certain differences on them, and that's why JUIF, they have been trying, Maulana Fazlur Rahman has been trying to bring both on the same page, where few of the amendments can be, of course, negotiated, and they can be dropped. And especially when we talk about Chief Justice of Pakistan, it is being considered as if the constitutional amendments are to retain the current Chief Justice of Pakistan, and then we should be going ahead with this. But when we talk about JUIF, they very well know that the opposition, they do not want this to happen, and they want to, of course, further talk about it and further negotiate with the government. And in between this whole process, we can see that the date of retirement of the current Chief Justice would be coming down very soon, and the next Chief Justice would be appearing, and that's when they actually want to go ahead with. And there are certain other issues with these proposed amendments, which are, of course, being dealt with on the table. And I think this is how it should be in a democratic country. All of the parties, political parties that are democratic political parties, the only way forward is to sit on the table and discuss each other and have a common ground. Because eventually, if we talk about constitution is not only for one political party, or it's not for an institution, it is for masses at large. I always say, I said it yesterday and I say it again, that when we talk about constitution itself and Supreme Court's role is to, of course, implement and sort of administrative role, in which they can make sure that the constitution is being followed to its full spirit. And where does the constitution is being, of course, prepared or being being delivered from, and that is Parliament. And Parliament is a place where all of the members, they get elected by people's will, and the constitutional amendments, they should be reflecting the people's will.
Do they?
Obviously, I mean, the party that are sitting in the Parliament right now, of course, they are the very
no, I mean specifically with this constitutional package. Do you think it is reflecting?
Well, that's what is being debated by all of the parties. I mean,
in
that
your
is
opinion?
why, in my personal opinion, there can be certain things that are to be, of course, discussed further or debated on
like
further. Like, of course, what is the suitable time for this? And I Sana, very carefully, I want to use the careful words, and them words are, I have seen democracies working, and I have seen legislation taking place in Western democracies. And what happens is that on the major issues, on key issues, the debate is not only for a month or 2 months. It's like for years they debate on certain things, and that's when they head towards something in terms of their legislation.
Well, in that case, we happen to reach a consensus fairly quickly. But
Very
let me also
quickly.
welcome in the debate Barrister Shabbir Ahmed Shah and get his perspective on board as well. Welcome to the debate, and of course, it's a pleasure having you as always. With reference to, of course, the constitutional package being discussed and debated upon, we've seen that reports are coming in that most of the parties have agreed with most of the content of the constitutional package, and I'll come to all of that later. But I want your perspective and your legal opinion, particularly in terms of how it impacts the judiciary and the powers of the Chief Justice of Pakistan, and whether or not it actually solves the problem that it seems to be solving in terms of the appointment of judges or the appointment of the constitutional bench and actually helping justice with regards to constitutional matters. Is it really doing that trick? Barrister Shabbir, can you hear me? Unfortunately, I think we're unable to connect with Barrister Shabbir, but we'd love to have his perspective on board when he joins in. But Farrukh, I'll come to you with reference to this constitutional package and your opinion. And I'd like your opinion also in terms of the impact you think that it creates and the, of course, effect of the powers of the judiciary and the parliament, but also in terms of the way that this has been done so far, in the way that discussions are being done, parliamentary committees sitting, there is debate, there is discussions, and different political parties are being involved in actually deliberating upon the contents of this constitutional package.
Right. Sana, thank you very much for the question. I think I, you know, while you were busy asking follow-up questions to Faisal, I thought that that was quite an illuminating moment because, I mean, that can cover as a great strategy, but there are certain things that you have to actually focus on. One thing that I have to actually reflect on, of course, in the West, maybe there are law-making exercises. I'm not privy to them, but if there are, there must be certain ones where it might take years to make write them and to actually make them law. But then there is no precedence of you know, people actually coming and ambushing the federal capital every 5 to 10 days. Nor is there any you know, precedent when you know, the trigger finger of the honorable justices of Supreme Court are like cowboy's finger, and every 5 days, 10 days, you see explanation upon explanation. Since when has explanation become a thing? I don't understand, right? So with all those complications, my humble submission is whatever is going on, I'm just tired. For past many months, we have been talking about constitutional you know, package and how it is going to be presented, how it is going to be approved. Repeatedly, we have been ambushed by these dharnas and these protests, and it does no damage to any government. It only damages us, the common Johnnies on the street. And that has become a mental issue now. Finally, regarding Honorable Court of Pakistan, courts of Pakistan, the concern is that I hope that it might have occurred to some of them that it might be a setup, and every time they actually issue such a statement, they actually create a situation where they are considered to be partisan and illuminate the point of the other side. So that becomes a problem, right? In this situation, all I want is for this issue to settle one way or the other, and that all people are on board, right? And finally, that there isn't any sit-ins in Islamabad and we can carry on our work every day. I keep on praying that I get a working place which is out of this red zone in Islamabad, because it has become an emotional drain on my life now. Regarding Maulana Fazlur Rahman, this is such a beautiful thing about politics. I mean, only a few months ago, PTI was up in arms against Maulana Fazlur Rahman, calling him whatnot, right? And Maulana used to call them Yahudi lobby. And now I think he must be the first Maulana to join Yahudi lobby. And you know, now apparently it doesn't mind talking to people who used to call him you know, a chemical name. But with all those things, the question is, what are we doing for the country? If somebody says that it is being debated, whether it is people's voice or not, I think that COD parties kept on coming in power, and part of their manifesto was this charter that showed that charter of democracy, that a constitutional court had to be made. If it hasn't been made, I think we have been rejecting people's voice for quite some time. And my good friend might say that it is being debated. My humble submission is, and you asked when exactly is the good time.
Yeah.
My humble submission is everything that comes during the government that I favor. At that time, everything is kosher. When the government is not there, then everything is haram.
Faisal, I want your take also in terms of when we talk about the impact that it creates. A lot of the debate, especially on constitutional matters in the past years or so that we have seen, and even before that, have been around targeting judiciary or targeting the Chief Justice of Pakistan for not being fair in terms of constitutional matters, and for benches to be selected. And a lot of that is part of this constitutional package aims to actually change that and cater to that as well. But in terms of especially the nomination and the selection of the Chief Justice of Pakistan as part of this constitutional package via parliamentary committee, among others, including parliamentarians, law ministers, and people from the Bar Council, if I'm not wrong. These, of course, are going to contribute to this decision. Do you think that that actually solves the question of partiality when we talk about the selection of Chief Justice in the Constitutional Bench?
Frankly, when we talk about all of the questions which have been raised in recent past and in the past as well, I mean, even in the 90s and even before the 90s, there were many questions that were, of course, raised related to the dispensation of the justice in the Supreme Court. But now, when we see that in recent past, of course, the bench issue which we have been highlighting in our show, and we were having discussions in our show many a times in recent past, it might, of course, address them issues, but there were further political issues that might be raised from the opposition party, and that would be related to, of course, there is some kind of likeness and dislikeness which is being shown by the government itself to have somebody as Chief Justice and somebody not. And I think this issue is going to be faced in coming future in regards with the current amendments, if they do take place in future. I mean, we might see that these kind of allegations would be once more raised against the, of course, Constitutional Court. And to me, I think once for all, having this kind of aspect in the view, all of the questions must be addressed right now, because as FARRUKH said it earlier, that we want this to be resolved as soon as possible, because he comes from somewhere nearby, and I come from somewhere nearby as well. And
I thought you were going to dox me now.
Yeah. No. And believe me, Sana, every day almost we are facing these kind of hurdles in which, of course, people are disturbed, and some the political parties, they are claiming to coming down once more on the Constitution Avenue or D Chowk, and they are going to show that they are protesting against the government and all of that. I think this once for all must end now, so that the peace is restored in capital of Pakistan. In that context, that political peace I'm talking about,
and peace of mind.
Yeah, peace of mind of public at large, and all of these issues must be resolved with that concept. But of course, once more I would say that there are institutions that are pivotal to Pakistan as a democracy, and amongst them the most important, one of the most important is Supreme Court itself, because it ensures dispensation of rule of law and of constitution's implementation in Pakistan. So I believe any amendments that are going to be passed. I mean, I'm hoping that they do not take away that stature of Supreme Court from Supreme Court itself. And to me, I think that is more important, because we are living in a democracy where, I mean, we being journalists, we are a part of it as well. We are always considered as a part of democracy, one of the pillars of democracy. We are a very weak pillar of the democracy, but we need to strengthen ourselves. It's all about talking about the rights of the people, rule of law, and democracy itself. And I think democracy would be more beautiful that if all of these pillars, they can be, of course, given freedom to practice themselves.
Right, and we're going to try once again and see if our guest has joined in, maybe fourth time's the charm. Barrister Shabbir Macha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, great. It's great to hear your voice, and you're a lucky man because we welcomed you 4 times in our show today. But thank you so much for joining us. I want your take on the constitutional package, of course, that we're discussing, because this is important, particularly in terms of the impact that it creates and then whether or not we have the kind of political setup to support it. But first, I want your perspective on what you think is going to be the effect on the powers of the Chief Justice, particularly in terms of actually ensuring that justice is done, and especially in terms of the formation of the constitutional bench. What is the impact that this has? Will it solve the problems of partiality that we've seen before, and will it help in the dispensation of justice when it comes to the selection and the tenure of the Chief Justice of Pakistan?
Thank you. You see, I think we have achieved a major breakthrough, and when I say breakthrough, I mean that before this and before today, there were the establishment of Federal Constitutional Court was opposed by many on the other side. But today, if that concept is dropped, and essentially what we are looking at is that a constitutional amendment is and could be in place with a unanimous amendment. Because when we say unanimous constitutional amendment, it gives us, even otherwise, it is the prerogative of the Parliament to amend the Constitution in the manner as provided in the Constitution. But it was politicized, and the other political parties, in particular PTI, if PTI also joins, I think this is a great news, and for which obviously some of the amendments which were previously proposed have been dropped. But let us consider the present draft, for example. It has 2 very significant points in the present draft, and to me, I don't think that both significant amendments in any way affect the independence of judiciary, because what was being debated and opposed by lawyers and by the other side was that if a Federal Constitutional Court is established, particularly the manner in which the Chief Justice of the Federal Constitutional Court, the first Chief Justice, and the first judges were being appointed, that had so many people had reservations with that. But that is now not the case. So what is it that is going to come now? 2 things. Number 1, the Chief Justice is to be appointed by a parliamentary committee of 8 members. I don't think this in itself takes away the independence of judiciary, because the appointment is still going to be made from the most honorable judges of the Supreme Court. And even otherwise, the manner in which the Judicial Commission appoints judges of the Supreme Court at this point in time is not based on seniority. You would have remembered that even now, most of the Supreme Court, if not entirely, consists of judges which have been appointed afresh not on the basis of seniority, but on the basis of merit. So So like from Lahore, so many honorable judges who were at serial number 26, number 18, number 10 have gone all the way to the Supreme Court, including Honorable Justice Munib Akhtar Saab. He was at number 6 when he was appointed to the Supreme Court, bypassing five senior most judges. Similar is the case with Honorable Justice Muhammad Ali Mazhar Saab. So, I mean, if the senior most automatically is not to remain as the Chief Justice, I don't think it will take away the independence of judiciary. The other most significant point is that the Judicial Commission of Pakistan has now four members from the parliament. I don't think there is anything wrong with it because with the advent of the 18th Amendment, the parliamentary committee was originally established, which was to keep an oversight on judicial appointments. Now, the Judicial Commission itself consists of members from the parliament. So, I don't think the present amendment as such takes away anything, even a tiny bit of judicial independence, because that is the only thing why other lawyers, some other political parties were opposing these constitutional amendments. In the present form, I don't think even arguably the present amendment affects the judicial independence in even the most slightest way.
Right. Barrister Shabbir, I also want your take on, when you say that it doesn't take away from independence, I want your take on what it adds in terms of giving more value or more powers or more independence to the judiciary. Yesterday, we had a legal expert who said something on the likes of why this didn't come up from the Supreme Court or from the judiciary itself, why this wasn't something initiated by them in bringing more value to the judiciary if this was something that was needed. What is your say on that?
It's a good question. Can I just also add what I couldn't previously was that you see, first of all, let us look at the powers of the Honorable Chief Justice. The Practice and Procedure Act, and even otherwise, before that, there were judgments. The Chief Justice is not in any way most superior in any form. As such, he's the first amongst equals in the Supreme Court. All judges of the Supreme Court are entitled to the same respect. As such, the Honorable Chief Justice does not have any higher power. So this amendment, if it is being argued or debated that it is targeted to achieve a certain design, I mean, I don't know if it, even if as such, the appointment of Chief Justice, if we keep it aside, it doesn't make any difference as such. But why are these amendments necessitated is what needs to be looked at. That I am sure the panelists sitting with you would have pointed out to our checkered history, our checkered judicial history, because in the past 15 or 20 years, you have seen judicial activism. Why is it that we need, if not a federal constitutional court, but a constitutional division within the Supreme Court? And I forgot to point out that even now, whether you call it a federal constitutional court or a constitutional division within the Supreme Court, the amendment, as it looks to me, ensures that it will consist of judges from all provinces. This is a very, very important point from a jurisprudential point of view, because all the important powers, particularly the power of deciding differences or disputes between a federation and federating units, and dispute between one province and the other. Now, this power has to be exercised by a bench or by a court which is neutral, which consists of judges from all provinces. This is the most important point. Whether you call it a federal constitutional court or a constitutional division within the Supreme Court, that will ensure that no province, even if it is the province of Balochistan or a province of KP, smaller provinces compared to Punjab, this kind of Supreme Court, which will consist of and which will hear these disputes, important disputes, must have equal representation. So I think the present amendment still ensures it, and credit goes to, uh, I would say, and I would not hesitate, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari in this. The manner in which he has been leading from the front, I think it is remarkable because, I mean, even today, he, with conviction, he has been proposing establishment of constitutional court, and there are reasons. And I think, well done, kudos to him.
Right. Barrister Sahab, a very quick question regarding what you were saying earlier, and that was creation of a constitutional court. Now the question, I would actually refer to Farrukh Naik Saab's statement that there are going to be two Chief Justices in Pakistan, and he was referring to a Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court and then of course Supreme Court as well. Pray tell me, who is going to be the Chief Justice of Pakistan among them?
First of all, sir, this must have been when the previous draft was being considered. I was just hearing Bilawal Bhutto Saab on whilst this program was being telecasted, very like I think 20 minutes ago, and he also said that at present the concept of if the federal constitutional court was to be established, then yes, there could have been two chief justices, one of the federal constitutional court and one of the Supreme Court. But at the moment, even he has acknowledged that in the present circumstances, the amendment that is going to be passed at present is it pertains to the present Supreme Court, and only one constitutional division is going to be created within the Supreme Court. So may I explain this if it is not explained properly? The present. Yes.
Hang on. Barrister Sahab, I understand that now they are actually talking about a constitutional bench, and that is
Yes.
okay. It is welcome. The question was theoretically, because I want to understand in principle if there is going to be a certain organogram, who is going to head it. If there are going to be two courts, who usually gets the cap of Chief Justice of Pakistan?
No, there will, sir, again, there will only be one Supreme Court, and within that Supreme Court, there will be one bench, which does not have to be headed by the Chief Justice of that bench. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court will only be one Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, which will be one which is appointed by the Parliamentary Committee, consisting of 12 members. Now, the same Chief Justice does not have to be the member of that constitutional bench. The constitutional bench will have to be appointed by the Judicial Commission of Pakistan, which in itself is headed by the Chief Justice and 4 judges of the Supreme Court and so many other members. So the constitutional bench, the Chief Justice could be sitting in the constitutional bench also, and the very same judges, like 6 or 7 or 5 who are sitting in the constitutional bench, could also be hearing other cases in the Supreme Court, normal and regular cases.
Right.
Very quickly, last question. Shabbir Saab, if this takes place before 25th of this month, it would mean that the current Chief Justice would be obviously sending, would be forming this constitutional bench?
Sir, can I say the constitutional bench is, if the amendment is passed, which it looks like it is going to be passed, the constitutional bench is to be appointed by the Judicial Commission of Pakistan, which consists of 13 members. So 13 members may say, from the 13 members, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is one, 4 senior judges, and then the Attorney General, the Federal Law Minister, the 4 members of the Parliament, and 1 member from the Pakistan Bar Council. So 12 or 13 members by majority, they will appoint the constitutional bench, which would consist of 5 or 7 judges of the very same Supreme Court. So that is the case. And then may I say that a number of people are trying to politicize this, that perhaps this constitutional amendment is being brought so as to make one Chief Justice or select one. Can I say, as a practicing advocate of the Supreme Court, all three top senior judges to me are Honorable Justice Mansoor Ali Shah, Honorable Justice Munib Akhtar, and Honorable Justice Yahya Afridi. If you look at all of them, they're quite alike. They are independent judges. They are well known that they do not toe a line to the establishment. They are independent and they are almost similar in their approach towards the law and the constitution. So, I mean, I don't see, if I were the government, I would not go on to the pains of taking so much criticism and then going ahead with such an amendment. So I think let's look at the future. Let's look at 5 years or 10 years from today, wherein it was most important that we must strive and achieve a balance. The power in the past 15 years, it has been seen, has been misused by the Supreme Court. So perhaps it is time that the Judicial Commission should be a balanced commission which should consist of members from the Parliament. Why not? Because if the judges on their own were to single-handedly appoint themselves, I don't think it has done us any good in the past so many years. I mean, if the previous constitution, without the inclusion of the parliamentary committee, would have been so good and the judiciary was so independent, then surely we would have been the best. We should have had the best judicial system in the world. But the statistics are not the same. I mean, so good luck to all of us. I look forward to this change, and I'm very positive, looking forward towards a good future in the judiciary of Pakistan.
Absolutely. So are we. Thank you very much, Barrister Shabbir Ahmed Shah, for joining us and being part of the debate and talking to us with regards to this constitutional amendment package, which of course still remains to be seen whether or not we will be having all of the parties on the same page and of course the final number. But it seems likely that that is the case, and of course with the opinion of our legal expert will be hopefully something good for both the Parliament and the judiciary. We're also going to be discussing a little bit with reference to what has happened in Gaza and of course the genocide that continues. And we've seen that Israel, of course, has been continuing this for more than a year now. We saw video footage coming in with regards to Hamas's key leader, Yahya Sinwar, who has been targeted and killed. And this is one of the key leaders of Hamas that Israel has targeted. And whether or not this will now impact Palestine and the issue of ceasefire, of course, remains under discussion. But this is something important, especially when we look at the evolving situation and what exactly will be the way forward in terms of whether or not this will pave the way for any dialogue or it will hamper the peace and justice and the end to the suffering of the people of Palestine once and for all. But that will be for another time because we're out of time right now. We'll now see you on Monday. That's all that we have from the debate. Thank you for joining us.